And like I said, this is about number 2 out of 10. In other words, or number 2 or number 3 as far as difficulty. So most of you have a couple more problems before we get into the real difficult ones. And after we get into the real difficult ones, those that aren't paying attention, if you don't know what to do, it's on you. So, of course, the first thing we do, move what?
7 to the other side.
Move C.
C.
And add our blanks. I'm recording. Did I hit record?
Yeah.
Half of 3 is 3 halves. 3 halves squared is 9 fourths. Now, one of the great things about completing the square is you don't have to rely on a calculator, where the quadratic formula you do. The only reason for the quadratic formula is to do problems that are decimals, like 2.2x squared minus 3.6x minus 3.7. Okay, that's why you use the quadratic formula. All right, and when do you see those? Very rare. So the completing the square is used with basically 4th, 5th grade math. So if you can't do these fractions, that means you can't do what? 4th, 5th grade math. So you need to address that problem if you can't do it. So, and I'm talking to everybody. I'm not singling out anybody. Don't raise your hand and say, you're talking about me. I'm not. I say that to all my classes that I teach this in. Quantity squared is equal to 28 fourths plus 9 fourths. Really? Or do you need any more time?
No, sir.
Have
I'm
you got it?
Yes,
okay.
Sir. We're good.
Good gracious. All right. X minus 3 halves.
Real long morning.
Is equal to, and I think we said this was what, 37 fourths?
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, you have your vertex. What is your vertex? 3 halves and negative 37 fourths. And you can rewrite it as, remember, you can rewrite it like this. F of x is equal to x minus 3 halves, quantity squared, minus 37 fourths. And that's the intercept method, which some book or some homework or some test question may ask for that. But the vertex is 3 halves, comma, negative 37 fourths. In this form, you just take the opposite of both. In this form, you take the opposite of this guy and you just bring this guy down. That's why I don't teach this very often, because it confuses students. Just take the opposite of both here. Now I'm going to solve for x. So x minus 3 halves, quantity squared, is equal to 37 over 4. And to solve for x, you're going to take the square root of both sides. Square root of both sides. That doesn't show up very well. And that's going to give you x minus 3 halves is equal to positive or negative, well, 6.1 over 2. And x is equal to positive or negative 6.1 plus 3 over 2. Now what's $6.10 plus 3? $9.10. $9.10 divided by 2. I think we said 455. Somebody help me out there.
Yeah, that's what we said yesterday.
Okay, so that's 455. So that's the x-intercept. 4.55, comma, 0. And negative 6.1 plus 3 is negative 3.1. Negative 3.1 divided by 2. 155. Somebody help me out. What's 3.1 negative 3 or 3.1 divided by 2?
0.55.
Okay. So there's your x-intercepts. So here's your vertex. Here's your x-intercepts. And what's the only thing left? Y-intercept, Hubert. That's right, class. And the y-intercept is up here. So graph it. So go over to the side over here. 0, negative 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 3 halves is 1.5. So 1.5 would be somewhere in there. And negative what? 9.25. So that's 7. 8, 9.25. There's my vertex. And then 4.55. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4.55 would be in the middle right there. And then negative 1.55 would be right there. So we've got our our vertex right there. We've got our y-intercept right there. And we've got our x-intercepts right there. Now what should everything do by the time you plot those 4 points? What should everything be doing? Everything should be lining up. Okay? And it should be lining up like a what? Like a crooked ass parabola. Sorry. There we go. And of course now you can tell the domain. The range. The range is from what? Negative 37/4 to infinity. The domain is all real numbers. Decreasing from negative infinity to 3 halves. Increasing from 3 halves to what? To infinity. And you should be able to tell me all that information. See why completing the square is so important? You can do everything in one sitting without even using a calculator. Now, some of you calculator-dependent people, you all are probably crying, but you should be able to do 3rd grade, 4th grade math.
I'm stroking.
I know.
It's okay though. We'll get through this.
I know. We'll get through.
Or I'll quit.
There you go. And live in a ditch.
I'm thinking
right,
like a box in the alleyway.
So, well, box in the alleyway is a little bit dirty. Ditch is out in the country. All right. Somebody might pee on you in that alleyway. All right.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you're just dirty. All right. So we're still on about a difficulty of 2. So let's step it up a notch. Now, what if we have a 2 or a 3 for A? Well, just erase it. Right? 2x squared plus 4x minus 6 is equal to 0. Well, the first thing you do is move C. So 2x squared plus 4x plus blank is equal to 6 plus blank. Okay, now, you cannot use, and we need to put this in red, cannot complete the square with A being greater than 1. You cannot complete the square with A being greater than 1 in the basic form of a quadratic equation. So therefore, like I said, just erase it and keep on going. That's what I used to do. Dr. Kapati, you cannot erase it, you have to work it. It's easier to erase it. Alright, so what do? You factor it out. Now what is factoring? Factoring is division, right? So factor out the 2 here. Now the only thing that you have to remember, and I'm going to put this in a bright green color. When you factor a 2 out over here, that's going to leave you with x squared plus 2x plus blank is equal to 6 plus blank. Now you need to remember, whatever you factor out here, I can't spell, whatever you factor out, you have to multiply by, that's an asterisk, by right hand side blank. So whatever I factor out here, I have to multiply by this guy. Now, 1, don't think too hard, just take my word for it. 2, the reason that is because the first way to complete the square, and I might have mentioned this to you, is to do everything on the left-hand side of the equal sign. All right? But I don't show that method because that method confuses a lot of people. That's why you have to multiply this 2 by this blank over here. That's why. Now, that's all I'm going to explain, because if I try to explain it anymore, it's going to confuse you. So just take my word for it. All right, so now I'm going to complete the square. Now, it's very important that you understand you have to do this first before you complete the square. Some of y'all aren't going to do that. You're going to try to complete the square and then try to remove it, and then you're going to end up with a cluster. Blank. All right? So don't do that. So make yourself a note. Factor out the common term before you complete the square, because you have to. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to take my 2. I'll do this in a different color. I'm going to take this 2, and I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm going to what? Square it. And that gives me 1 squared, which is 1. So that 1 goes there and there. So now I completed the square, and now you can keep going. So 2 times x plus 1, quantity squared, is equal to, what's 6 plus 2?
That'd be 8.
Thank you. You are exceptional. Okay? Now what's the vertex? The vertex is -1 and what?
-8.
8.
-8. Also write that in intercept form. F of x is equal to 2 times x plus 1, quantity squared, minus 8. Now Now I want everybody to take your highlighters out. I don't have highlighters.
Is it -1 or +1?
Should be positive. Right there, positive.
And why'd you write negative?
Right there, it's always the opposite.
Oh, my bad.
Pay attention. See, that's why you're not gonna succeed.
You're right. I'm probably just gonna fail.
All right. So you got your vertex. Now take your highlighter, and I want you to highlight some things. I'm gonna take my yellow. I got a yellow Sharpie, but I want you to use different colors. This is f of x is equal to. I'm gonna write this under. F of x is equal to a times x plus h quantity squared plus k. Well, it's over here. All right. What is a? What does a tell us? A is 2. What does a tell us? Go back to your graphs that we graphed, all those graphs on one graph. What does a tell us? Starts with an O. R, I,
Origin.
E, N, T, A,
Orientation.
Makes my head sad. Yes, orientation. So what does 2 tell us? Is 2 between 0 and 1, or is 2 greater than 1? Greater than 1. I heard greater than 1, so I'm assuming that's greater than 1. So what does that tell us? That it's going to be compressed along the what?
The x-axis, the y-axis.
X-axis, and it's going to be pulled, stretched along the y-axis. What does this tell us? That's H. Tells us the horizontal what? Shift. And this tells us vertical shift. So completing the square gives you that intercept form so you can start telling what the parabola is doing. Capiche? I understand. So, let's solve. 2 times x plus 1, quantity squared, is equal to 8. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X plus 1, quantity squared, is equal to 4. Take the square root of both sides. X plus 1 is equal to positive or negative 2. And x is equal to positive or negative 2 minus 1. And what's 2 minus 1?
1.
So that's 1 x-intercept. What's negative 2 minus 1?
3.
So there's your second x-intercept, and here is your y-intercept. There's your y-intercept. So now you've got your y-intercept, you've got your vertex, and you've got your x-intercepts. Now take that information and sketch a graph. Y'all already got it sketched? Dang, y'all quick. Or y'all just being lazy? Anderson campus is lazy. For the ones that show up.
At least they show up.
Yeah, at least they show up. -1, -8. So that's going to be way down here. And that is our vertex. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Let's turn that thing off. Okay, my x-intercepts are positive 1 and 1, 2, 3. That's my x-intercepts. And my y-intercept is 0, negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 8 or 9. 8, so this is 6 right in here. And it should look like a graph of a parabola. Now, of course, some of y'all are going to come out with things looking like Z's. Okay, that's not right. So you're going to have to go back and figure out what you've done wrong. Okay? So that's about a 3 or 4. So you ready for a 5 or 6?
I think I'm ready.
No. 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. All right, I'm going to give y'all, I don't have a clock, so let me give y'all about 2 minutes to get started on that one. How's Amy 1.2 doing?
Debbie 1.4?
Debbie 1.4, yeah.
You know what? Actually, she's not half bad.
She's not.
I have an 86 in that class,
What'd you do?
which
Pay
is
her?
not good. But, I mean, I'm still making it.
Well, if you got 86, I think I'd hug and run with it.
And we have like a 10-page essay due in like December. And it's got like she's a 9-page rubric. And she says she's taking 60 points off of someone's test due to lack of proper format. And she gave him a 40 on the final.
When you hear the word rubric, that's a 25-cent word for administration thought this crap up.
Well, she said she's taking 60 points off of someone's project because the layout was not the way she wanted it. So they got a 40.
Now, what class is this?
Management.
You got to write a 10-page essay in management.
Yep. On why a business failed due to lack of management. I chose Blockbuster
We do that
because
too, but it's in a group.
That's a good one.
this is Blockbuster because Netflix just kicked them out.
Basically, yes. Netflix and Direct did together.
You know you can get Hulu with Spotify Premium now?
Yep.
That makes me so mad because Netflix.
I just signed up for it like 5 days ago, and it was like $11.
And now you get 2 things for the price of 1.
Yeah. I
need
suck.
Apple needs to do Netflix, or I'm going to drop them. Other than my playlist will be gone, and that's just not good.
All right, y'all finished already, or y'all just decided to quit?
I'm almost done.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, I know you're lying because it's a fraction, and most of y'all can't even read a tape measure.
I'm currently taking out the X's.
I got a friend that's a builder, and he won't hire anybody. He does everything himself. You know why?
Why?
Because he says he's not a good teacher, and he has to teach everybody how to read a tape measure when he hires somebody, so he just quit hiring people. That's pretty sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we know all the important things in life, don't we, when we graduate high school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we know
how
the
to
important things.
You know, when I was in high school, like I never learned how to I knew how to write a check, but I never learned how to do it. I never learned how to do stuff that I need to do in life that are essential.
I teach a Math 103 course, which is got a business math in it, which is basically how to take care of yourself, money-wise, do a budget, don't spend too much, how to balance your checkbook, how to do income tax, what the trap is when you buy a car or a house.
Yeah, like if you handed me a tax form, I would not do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And none of my students know any of that stuff, and they're right out of high school.
Yeah. And like mortgaging a house, nope.
Yeah, that you end up paying twice the amount in interest for a house. Yeah. They don't know that. They're like, why are you paying $200,000 for a $100,000 house? They don't understand that. But they can tell you, who was the first person in the United States to jump off a cliff. They can tell you that. They can tell you who the first person to do this was, or the first person to do this was, but they can't read a tape measure and they can't balance a checkbook. So they are taught the good things in life. Okay. Factor out of 2. I'm sorry, move C first. I'm sorry. 2x squared minus 3x plus blank is equal to -1 plus blank. Come on. You can do it. You're supposed to. Factor out of 2. X squared minus 3/2 x plus blank is equal to -1 plus 2 times blank.
How did you factor?
Now I'm going to take my handy dandy yellow marker.
You just put it over 2. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's called division. Yeah, ain't that neat?
That's weird how that works.
Okay, so now we're going to have to draw this out because this is where some of y'all are going to blow a gasket. 3/2 divided by 2 over 1. The reason I'm putting that 2 over 1 is because it's a fraction. And square it. So now I'm going to take 3/2 multiply by what? 1/2 and square it. That gives me 3/4. Square it. And my final answer is 9 what? 16ths. So 9/16 goes there. And 9/16 goes there. So 2 times x squared minus 3/2 plus 9/16 is equal to -1 plus 2 times 9/16. Now make sure you understand this right here, because this is where a lot of y'all just quit. Just divide it by 2, just like you've been doing. Except in this case, you divide by 2 over 1, which is 2. So you multiply by 1/2. And then you get 3/4 and square it. So that's going to give me 2 times x minus 3/4, which is shortcut number 2, is equal to -1 plus 2 over 1 multiplied by 9 over 16. And what happens to the 2 and the 16? They cancel, Hubert. That's right, class. Two times x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to -1 plus what? 9 over what? 9 over 8. So that means that negative 1 is going to change into what? 8/8. So 2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to negative 8/8 plus 9/8. 2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to 1/8. Now, did I put in every single step for a reason? Yes, because I know there's somebody in here going, whoa. Mainly because of this right here. And then when they get down to here, they blow a gasket right in here also, because I turned that 8/8 into that 1 into an 8/8, and I canceled right here. So there's some people going, whoa, wait a minute. Well, that's why I did every single step, and I'm leaving this up here as long as I can. All right? So, because we got to carry this over to the next page. This right here, we're carrying over to the next page. Yes.
This is a really stupid, like, first grade question.
That's fine.
When you have it, like right beneath the pink, that first line, and then it goes to x minus 3/4. Can you like explain how you got that?
That's not a second grade question. That is a algebra 1, algebra 2 question, because this is shortcut number 2. Shortcut number 2, I saw that. Shortcut number 2 says a minus b quantity squared is equal to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. I'm just showing you that so you remember what a shortcut is. All right? So take the square root. This is what you do in your head when you do the shortcut. Take the square root of that and take the square root of that. And that's how you get it. And put it in that there. So I turned this trinomial, which was this right here, I turned it into this. Does that help?
Yes, sir.
So to find the square root of a fraction, all you do is just find the square root of the denominator and the numerator?
Yeah, that's the second grade question.
Okay. We didn't do square roots in second grade.
I know you were learning about the first person to do this and the first person to do that.
I was learning about the Spanish Wars.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
And
Yes,
their
ma'am.
influence on
All right.
China.
So let's go to the next page and how Christopher Columbus was a racist. Tear down Christopher Columbus. He was a racist. Everybody's a
He
racist.
really was. A rapist or a racist?
Both. It doesn't matter. Tear the damn statue down. X minus 3/4
I'm pretty sure he was
squared
back.
is equal to 1/8. All right, now solve for x. You got your vertex. Solve for x now. I just think we ought to tear down all statues. Just tear them down.
They're all racist.
Yeah,
offensive.
they're all racist and they all rape people.
The statues themselves rape people.
Yeah. If you really think about people who how stupid it is, that's all you can do is make fun of it.
To each their own.
And if you don't like history, you try to what? Rewrite it.
Change it.
Yeah.
Or you just delete it.
Yeah, my ancestors got thrown out of Scotland, thrown into Ireland. So I want to rewrite that history.
How do you play it?
Okay, you need to rewrite this also. Make sure you know that that's f of x is equal to 2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared minus 1/8. And that is intercept form. What does the 2 tell us? Tells us it's going to be squished It's got a vertex of 3/4 and -1/8. So that's the horizontal and vertical shift. So let's move on and solve. So divide by 2. Divide by 2 over what? 1. Because this is 2 over 1 too, but it just cancels this out. Now I got to multiply by 1/2. So that's x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to 1/8 times 1/2. X minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to 1/16. Square root of both sides. X minus 3/4 is equal to 1/4, positive or negative. And x is equal to positive or negative 1 plus 3 over 4. And what's 1 plus 3?
4.
4 over 4?
Yeah.
1. What's negative 1 plus 3? 2,
That'd
Hubert.
be positive 2, sir. And that make
2
it a
over
half.
4 is... All right, now plot it. Don't forget your y-intercept is what? 1. Your y-intercept is 1. Y-intercept is 1. Vertex is 3/4. So 3/4 would be somewhere in here, and -1/8 right in there. X-intercept is 1 and 1/2. So it looks something like that.
Oh, plus or minus. There you go.
Now, there's 2 types of people in here, because the people that think they know it all, they probably are not here or quit coming or whatever. That's why these people are not here. No, I'm just kidding. But the 2 people that are remaining are the people that are going, yeah, I remember doing this. And then the other ones are saying, God, I hate fractions. Well, the reason you hate fractions is because you've never been taught how to do them. You might have been introduced, but then you were introduced to them, and then what they shove into your hand as soon as you were introduced to them? They shoved a calculator in your hand so you couldn't use the that blame thing. It's like teaching you to walk at 2 years old and then taking the walker away from you. So, no, you don't know how to do fractions because it's not your fault. That's why you can't make change at the cash register. Everything on the calculator. All right, so that's about a 4 or 5. Now let's do another one. Let's do this one. Let's see if I can discourage you with this one. Negative x squared plus 2x minus 7 is equal to 0. So what's the problem? Why would I give you this one? Huh?
There's a negative in A.
What a negative what? A negative 1.
A.
So instead of factoring out of 2, you need to factor out what? A negative 1. But it has to be a positive 1 for you to do completing the square. So the first thing you do is move C. So negative 1x squared plus 2x plus blank is equal to 7 plus blank. Factor out a 1. There you go.
How do you have plus -1? Never mind.
You take medication for that.
From what?
Okay, what's half of 2?
1.
And 1 squared is 1. Negative 1 times x minus 1, quantity squared, is equal to 7 minus 1 is 6. So our vertex is 1, comma, negative 6. What else do we know about this parabola? Yes, got a y-intercept of negative 7, but that's not what I'm looking for. What else do you notice about this parabola?
It's going to be going facing down.
It's going to be opening downward, yes, because of the negative. So, it's not going to have any x-intercepts. How do we know that? Well, just the next step. When you divide by negative, what does that give us on the right-hand side of the equal sign?
Square root of -7.
Negative 6. And what can you not do with a negative? Take the square root. So at this point, you say x-intercepts do not exist because this is I. X minus 1 is equal to 6I.
Are we going to use imaginary numbers in here?
Yeah, you're going to have to because, yeah, just use 6I. So x is equal to 6I plus 1, or 1 plus 6I, whichever way they want it. There's 3 types of answers you're going to get with these type questions. There's the square root of a number, which means you have 2 x-intercepts. Then there's the square root of 0, which means you have 1 x-intercept. And then the square root of a negative, which means you have no what? No x-intercepts. Now this over here, you need to write this down. This is called the discriminant.
Discrimination.
Spelled it right. Don't say discriminate. Then that means you're racist. All right? Discriminant, I think that may be an N right here. I don't know.
I don't think it matters.
It don't matter. Nobody's going to know it anyway. Discriminant. Discriminant means the radical, the radicand. Look at the radicand. The radicand is under the what? It's under the radical. No more sneezing in class. All right. So here is each one of your radicands. There's the number, 0, and a negative number. That's the radicands. When you're putting it in the application of a graph and the orientation, you don't call it radicand, you call it the discriminant. But they're both the same thing. The discriminant tells you how many x-intercepts you have. And in this case, since we have a negative right here, we know that there's no what? There's no x-intercepts. So when you graph this one, 0, -7 down here. And the vertex is 1 and -6. And which way is it opening? Down. So it doesn't have x-intercepts. No. It doesn't have x-intercepts because it's not crossing the x-axis. Question, gripe, complaint. All right, so we're at about a number 6 right now.
Okay.
That means when y'all come back Friday, oh, wait a minute. You may not have class Friday. I'll have to email you. Let me see what time we have that. Gotta have an administrative.
Go home early.
Gotta have administrative bureaucratic meeting. So let me see what time have that meeting. What's today?
I don't look like
11th.
Yep.
Yeah, we won't have class Friday.
Darn
Don't be too happy, okay? All right, y'all get out of here. See y'all Monday, okay?
Something comes last Friday.
And we're probably going to assign homework Monday.
Ready to ask a
So
question?
your holiday is over Monday.
Here, Wednesday.
Okay, well whenever y'all come back. See y'all.
Have a good one.